So it's another unboxing video. Maybe you can see on the box who it's from. Another purchase through T Equipment. Anyhow, let me get the box upright and we'll cut her open and see what we find inside. So, see if I can open this with one hand. I'm guessing not. Hopefully open it without removing a finger. Always fun shooting handheld video. Always fun shooting handheld video and opening something with one hand. Let's see if that was a sufficient cut to get it open. So, apologies for the finger over the camera there. So, scope of the art, the right oscilloscope for your application, multi-domain, references, all the packaging material. So we have packaging material. Let me slide this back so we can pull the first box out. So we have a box here. I'm assuming with accessories. We'll open it up and find out. So what all do we have in here? Well, we have a list of all the upgrades that have been installed. So this is the Rohde Schwarz. It's the RTB2004, the scope they just recently released. I was lucky enough to get in on the introduction deal on it. So I got the core scope, which is 70 megahertz, with all of the upgrades for free. So it's about $7,500 worth of scope. I got it for $2,000. It's upgraded to 300 megahertz. It's got all the mixed signal options. It's got all the decoding options, the arbitrary generator options, all the memory options. I mean, it's got every possible option installed. It was a great deal. I actually got pretty lucky getting this. What happened was I was about a day late. I blogged about this on my text blog. I was about a day late getting to T Equipment to order, and they didn't have any more available. And I sent them an email, begging, is there one more, is there one more? And they basically said, sorry, no. So I went ahead and bought a Rohde mixed domain scope, which is a great little scope, don't get me wrong. A couple days later, so the Rohde scope gets here. I use it for a couple of weeks. I get an email from T Equipment saying, by the way, we have one more of these open, these available, somebody's canceled, and it was a reply to that email I sent begging for one. So I snatched it up pretty quickly. I've been waiting a couple of weeks for delivery. So here's all the pieces. So we have, obviously, a probe. There's a single probe in the box. It looks like it's a pretty nice probe. It should be a 300 megahertz probe. We have a second probe. We have a third probe. We have a fourth probe. We have what I'm assuming is the active logic probe. Yeah, active 8-channel logic probe. We'll take these out of the bag and take a look. So there's one of the 8-channel modules. Here's the other 8-channel module. And we have a European power cord. Boy, I hope this thing's set up for 110 and or universal supply. Otherwise, this may be quickly very disappointing. Various bits of documentation, the getting started manual. So let's put all these items back in this box and we'll set it aside. And we'll pull the scope out and take a look at the scope itself. So, can't wait to get this guy up on the bench. I've actually got some troubleshooting work I want to do, which this should be really nice for. Wow, it's bigger than anticipated, but with the huge screen on it, that's actually no surprise. Oh man, is that screen huge. I know it's a higher resolution screen than the Rigol scopes I've been using. And again, I don't want to diss on the Rigol scopes. They are great. Their entry-level scopes are excellent. I've been using their scopes on the bench for well over a decade. I bought one of the original little 50 megahertz dual channel ones. Sorry, I'm trying to get this out of the bag. You get to come along for the ride. There we go. Sure you're getting the noise of all the plastic. Anyhow, I bought one of the Rigol 50 megahertz scopes well over a decade ago, maybe 15 years ago. Well, maybe not that long. So I discovered the EEV blog. I was looking for information on that little 50 megahertz dual channel, and Dave Jones had put up a blog entry talking about hacking it for 100 megahertz. And of course I hacked it. Still have the scope. It's a great little scope. Anyhow, let's take a look at this Rohde Schwarz RTB2004 scope. So data points up front, it's of course got the 300 megahertz option. It uses a 10-bit A to D. Entry-level scopes typically have an 8-bit A to D, so you're essentially getting 4 times the resolution. I've watched some video of people who got pre-release ones, Mike at Mike's Electric Stuff, Dave Jones. It's got what appears to be great memory options. We can see that the input is 100 to 240 volt, so I just got to get a US cord to plug into it. Very impressive. That screen is huge. That screen, I think, is going to be a joy to use. It's a touch screen. Anyhow, there's a quick look around. I'll go find a line cord. We'll put some power on it. See what happens. I'll be back. So one of the things I've read is that it has a pretty quick startup time. I think about 10 seconds. I will apply power on the back side. The standby LED or switch is lit. Let's push it. 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 7, 1008. Wow. And we are up and running. So things I already know about it. Yellow is the traditional color for channel 1. You can see that the backlights over here are yellow. If I change to channel 2, the backlights become green because I'm controlling channel 2. Just mucking around here quick. It seems pretty responsive. See if I can turn channel 2 off. Well, the next thing to do is to pull out a probe. Let's hook a probe up and see what we've got. So I've got one of the included scope probes here. We will see if I can get it out of the bag with one hand. The joys of video blogging. Almost. Well, the probe's got a nice feel to it. It's what I expected. It's a ×1 ×10. Very typical. Looks like the adjust is up on the scope, or the tip of the, towards the tip. Rated to apparently 400 volts on the 10-to-1, 55 volts on the 1-to-1. The standard set of little accessories. Let me see if I can get this little bag open. Well, maybe not. I'll be back. So, I have a probe. It's attached. Let's see, probe comp. There's ground. Yes, that's the ground lug. We will attach the probe. We will hook to the ground lug. If I can get a good connection. Look for an auto. Nope. I would assume there is a auto setup. If not, we will have to go in and manually. Yeah, completely new scope, completely new interface. Obviously, auto set, but it's that. There we go. So we can see the probe compensation needs to be adjusted. I seriously doubt I'm going to be able to do it with one hand. But we'll find out. Let's see if I can get it compensated. There's the screwdriver end, into the little slot, and we are compensated. Well, pretty close. I'm not perfect. So I am in. So those who are new to scopes, there's usually a probe compensation output, which I'm connected to. It traditionally produces a square wave. The scope ground is on the ground. The compensation output. We're looking to get as clean a square wave as we can. Let's see, I should actually be able to go in here and touch and zoom. Wow, that's interesting to do. So because you expect a nice clean square wave, you're matching the capacitance of the probe to the capacitance of the front end and the scope. So by adjusting the little screw here with the tool, you adjust for the cleanest sine wave, and that looks pretty clean right there. I think for any more video on it, I'm going to need to mount the scope or the camera to a more solid mount. But while I have you captive, let's look at one of the logic pods. So the scope has two inputs for logic analyzer. Data 0 to data 7 and data 8 to data 15. You have what's called an active pod. It's got a great length to the cable. This will work well. Pod, of course, attaches. You have, of course, the pod. You have a set of leads. For pairs, the black is, of course, ground. The other one is for signal input. I have noticed there's no little... Oh, they're in the bag here. Okay, I was going to say there's usually little leads, which there are here. I will dump these out and give you a view of these as well. You've typically got a short wire, which plugs in here. I'll plug one in and be back in a second. So I have, on this probe input, of course, the lead here with the black end is the ground. This jumper is the active. Often you can connect directly to, say, a pin on a wrap socket or a test point on a board. If you need to connect to a device lead, you can put one of the mini jumpers on it. And of course use that, if you can see the tip come out here or not, to basically reach out and clip onto a component lead or an IC lead, that kind of stuff. One of the things you tend to want to do here is keep, of course, cabling as short as possible, keep links balanced where you can, those kind of things. I'm actually not going to plug the active probe in with the power on, since I have no idea if that'll damage it or not. Let me power off here. And we will go ahead and plug in. Bring the power back on. I have to say the size of this screen is absolutely gorgeous. As I get older and my eyes are getting worse, I can actually see this screen well without my reading glasses on, which is really nice. I'm at that age where you're always shuffling glasses on and off. Mike has done a pretty extensive review of this at Mike's Electric Stuff. There's just great little details along here, such as you can see 6.6 microseconds minus 26.6. So you get great scaling with high detail. We can see 2 millivolts, 102 millivolts. We get great detail on the screen. I have not attempted yet to play with cursors or any of that kind of stuff. You're basically seeing it for the first time along with me. I just magically centered. Let's see if I can find logic help vertical, perhaps. Channel 1, coupling AC. Well, that touch screen is really nice. That is really handy. We're set to full bandwidth. Wow, that is really nice. Obviously, I've enabled a cursor here at some point. Actually, what I'm seeing is the trigger level. Yes. So there's the trigger level. I believe I can touch the waveform and move it. That's really sweet. Logic. So right now I would assume that we're reading all ones. I would assume if I ground one of these, if I can possibly do it with one hand here. Well, I can't do it with one hand. Let me ground one of the inputs. Actually, I need to get something that actually has logic to it, but there is, and I can grab, of course, the little logic analyzer, and I can move it around. It's got the great default labels, data 0 to data 7, would make perfect sense. That is really nice. The screen is incredibly crisp. It's a little reflective. Other people have commented on that. We can turn the logic analyzer back off, or a little relay click there. Logic. Turns logic on, turn logic off. Wow, let's look at the maths. Oh, maths wants to compare channel to channel apparently. Let's turn maths back off. If we can figure out how to do it. Turn channel 2 back off. I'm certainly going to have to play here and figure out how to use cursors. Boy, the layout is just different, so I'm struggling a little bit with the layout of where the controls are. Of course, I will adjust and get used to it. Can definitely see some overshoot on the screen there. I don't know if it's coming through to you, some over and undershoot. You can see a little bit of undershoot happening here, a little bit of overshoot there. No surprise. Let's see if any of the other pattern generator outputs are active. Nothing on pattern 3. Nothing on pattern 2. Nothing on pattern 1. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to play, and we'll do some more in-depth look at this as I get used to using the scope. But there it is. There's a quick unboxing video for the Rohde Schwarz RTB2004, let me say that correctly, digital oscilloscope with the mixed signal. So I've got, the 16-channel logic analyzer, 4-channel, 300 megahertz, tons of decode options. I'm hoping to spend a bit of time in my PIC32 development environment and generate various data streams, I2C, etc., and we will decode those on the scope and look at the outputs and play around with not only how I generated those data streams, maybe even look at the code that we generated them with and analyze them on the scope. This should be a lot of fun. Thanks, and we'll talk later.